illnesses, failed relationships, and so on. The Quran is the curer to every sickness, restorer to all sustenance, and key to all happiness. If only we appreciated the treasure that lies within each and every one of our homes, and appreciated the message that was set down to us by our Creator Allah Almighty. Isn't it amazing to think that Allah Almighty, the one who created all of creation, the only one worthy of worship, the source of all guidance, happiness, and wealth, set down His divine words in the form of the Holy Quran Al-Kareem. However, it is the ignorance of the humans that they neglect this, thinking they can attain all of the above from elsewhere. Let's put this into example. If a doctor tells us not to have too much of such and such food or so and so drink because it may lead to risk of heart attack or death, wouldn't it be sheer ignorance from the one being told by the expert that by avoiding such and such you would live a healthier and longer life? Similar is the case of humans. We have been told countless times by Allah Almighty to refrain from sin, do good, stay away from bad, give charity, remain steadfast in our prayers. And by adhering to his noble command, we would be rewarded with His ma'rifah, nearness to Him, love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Jannat al-Firdaus. So do you think it's inexcusable that we don't pay attention to this? Allahu Akbar. The Quran is our greatest weapon against the forces of evil and temptations of this dunya. It is the only means to overpower our fear and our anxiety. It is the only light to brighten our inner darkness and the social ills that may surround us. It is the only cure to heal our inner sickness. It is the constant reminder of our true nature and destiny, our duties, our status, our rewards, and our perils. The Quran was brought down by the powerful and trustworthy in the heavens, the angel Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam. Subhanallah. So we must ask ourselves, are we really devoted to the recitation and message of the Quran? Have we taken the necessary steps to improve our recitation? Do we take time out of our day to learn and understand the meaning of the Quran? Remember, devotion to the Quran is devotion to Allah Almighty and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May we all benefit from these words and implement the Quran in our daily lives. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ.
الحمد لله نحمده ونسلمه ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الذين ينفقون في السراء والضراء والكاظمين الغيظ والآفين عن الناس والله يحب المحسنين صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الأمين الكريم ونحن على ذلك لمن الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Almighty Allah, we have been allowed to witness another Yawmul Jummah, Sayyidul Ayyam, the day where it is full of blessings, where Almighty Allah bestows us with so many ni'mas. One of the ni'mas is that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam has said that whoever on a Friday, on a Jum'ah, between Asr and Maghrib Salah sends 80 salawat upon me, it will be counted as if that person had read 80 years of ibadah. As if that person had fasted in the day, had prayed qiyam in the night for 80 years constantly, every single day. This is only one of the ni'mas that the Muslims, that we have been given, the Ummah has been given of Friday. And we should thank Almighty Allah that Almighty Allah has allowed us to live, allowed us to witness another Friday. over the past few weeks, when I gave the lectures, we spoke about the importance and how we should be reading the Quran, the steps to falling in love with the Quran. And just now, our brother, he just emphasized on it. And we will quickly recap what I said over the past few weeks. And it was that the Quran, we do not focus on the Quran. We neglect the Quran. Everyone does it. We put it on the highest maqam in the house, but we neglect it. It has the most dust in the house. And the first step which I gave for everyone is that they take that Quran in their house, the biggest treasure in their house, and every day they take 15 minutes just to read the Quran. No distractions, no phone, no TV, no nothing, no social media, just read the Quran for 15 minutes. The second step was to read the Quran with tajweed. Because so many of us, since young ages, we've learned the Quran without tajweed. And our whole lives we go without it. We go our whole lives without learning tajweed. And our whole lives we are not pronouncing the Quran correct. Our whole lives we are pronouncing the Quran wrong. In our salah, it is not correct. And it's not something to be forgotten. It's something that it is a sin. If you are not learning the Quran, it is something you will be questioned on the day of Qiyamah. That Almighty Allah will ask, you had all this time. You had mal, you had sustenance, you had a house, you had children, you had a family. But you never took time out to learn the book of Allah. You never took the time out to learn the Quran. And inshallah today we will be moving on. And the ayat which I started off with, الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ وَالْقَاذِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْآفِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Almighty Allah states in the Holy Quran, and who control their anger and are forgiving towards mankind, and the righteous are the beloved of Almighty Allah. Those who control their anger, they are the beloved of Almighty Allah. Inshallah today, very briefly, we will speak in the light of this Quranic ayah how the emotion of anger can bring upon you the wrath of Almighty Allah, or by controlling your anger, you can become the beloved of Almighty Allah. Anger is one of the basic human emotions. And we often find that anger is the most common human emotion. That little things that happen in our daily lives exerts to us being angry. When we are angry, most of us think that, okay, if I say something in anger, because I'm in the state of anger, it will be forgotten, it's fine, I won't get a sin for it. But what we have to notice, what we have to learn is that anger, whatever you do within your anger, it still counts as a deed. If you swear in a state of anger, it doesn't mean that just because you're in a state of anger, it doesn't count as a bad deed. If you hit someone in the state of anger, just because you're in the state of anger, you don't think that you're not going to get a bad deed. Don't think that you're not going to be punished for it. And it is something that so many of us forget. We go our whole lives thinking that I'm angry, I have a reason to punch someone, I have a reason to annoy someone, I have a reason to swear, I have a reason to do something bad. It's because I'm angry, someone made me angry. But this Quran ayah, it tells us that if you control your anger, you will become what? The beloved of Almighty Allah. If you don't control your anger, it is very clear in the tafsir of this ayah that the wrath of Almighty Allah is upon you. Anger is the disaster of the intellect. When you don't control your anger, when you are in a state of anger, anything can attack you. And when you are in the state of anger, that is when Satan attacks you. Satan chooses to attack the person who is angry. Why? Because it is when the person is most easily aggravated. It is when the mind is so easy to attack. If you're happy and I annoy you, if you're having a good day and I come and annoy you, it's not going to hurt you as much. Why? Because you're having a good day, you're in a good mood. But if you're in a bad mood, if you're angry, if you just had an accident, or if someone stole your belongings, you're in a state of anger. And if I then come and annoy you, and I say something to you, I punch you or I swear at you, then you're gonna react. Because you're already in a bad mood. You've already had a bad day. So this is why Satan attacks the person who is angry. And Imam Ghazali rahimahullah said that whenever man becomes angry, Satan plays with him just as a child plays with a ball. And Almighty Allah once asked Satan, show me how you overpower man. Satan replied, I overpower him at the time of anger when he follows his lust. From this we learn that satanic attacks come from anger. When we don't control our anger, that's when Satan attacks. When we don't control our anger, that's when Satan provokes us. And then that leads us, that state of anger, it leads us doing something haram. It leads to us even potentially saying a statement of kufr, which takes us out the fold of Islam. And reflect this back to our lives when we are angry. Just think about it. When you are angry, or think over the past few weeks, how many times has something really annoyed you? Has something really got to your head? Think of it. And think, how many times did I control the anger? And then think, how many times did I do something? Did I swear? Did I say a bad word? Did I insult someone? Did I punch someone? Did I hit someone? Did I ruin someone's day because of that anger that I had? To take that anger out, I maybe think, did you swear to take the anger out? Did you hit someone to take the anger out? Reflect. Our Shaykh teaches us that when you are learning, you reflect and then you act. You reflect on your actions on the past, and then you use that reflection to act on your future, to act on your present, so that you better yourself as a person. Perhaps we have said something that we shouldn't have in the state of anger. Perhaps we have acted in a moment of madness that has ruined a relationship with someone else. In a state of anger, maybe think of it in the last year, or in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Maybe your relationship with one of your friends was ruined. Why? Because of your anger. Think maybe a family relation had been cut off, had been severed because of your anger. Think of it.